strive to give it clarity to deepen your understanding as the listener.
The decisive factor will be knowledgeable leadership committed to good governance.
Make it a date with 광ᴇᴇᴅ and Saeed Fuad on Midweek Politics every Wednesday from 1 to 3 p.m. on your top dial, Mainland 98.3 FM. Politics, it's a whole meal.
Political enemies, they don't want you to succeed. Have you just realizing that? No matter what I do, they will still abuse me.
Things spoil more and more. And as time they go, children they die more and more. No food to eat, no light to see, no water to drink.
Well, I know a lot of people are waiting, patiently waiting for us to come up on the airwaves today, and I'm glad we're here. For the people that are getting caught somewhere, the rain, the stress, the trouble, the hustle and the bustle of Lagos, especially with the security concerns everywhere, well, I welcome you to the show. It would help us to organize our thoughts and also allow you to join the conversation on the turn of 2 o'clock. Ours is just to bring the conversations to the table. And because we are building up on the side in the midst of all of this chaos in quotes and how disorganized everyone is right now, we still have an election to do in the next couple of months. And whether we like it or not, until anything changes between now and January 2027, Nigerians would have to go to the polls again to choose who governs them. It could be a referendum, it could be a vote to further establish the status quo or perhaps make changes, and that's exactly one of the things that the election gives us. Each cycle that comes around, I would have the opportunity to either consolidate on whatever little gains that we have or change the entire structure completely. Nigerians would have to decide that, and the APC-led governor in Ekiti State as well. So we've got two off-cycle elections to monitor and provide details for you for in 2026, and with a couple of other by-elections to vacant senatorial reps and House of Assembly seats across the federation. So it's a full cycle, and I will find November 2027 we'll have off-cycle elections for the governorship seat of Imo, Kogi and Bayelsa. That of Imo is going to be very interesting going forward. You know why? The current government, of course, the chairman of the Renewed Hope Ambassador, he won't be ending his tenure until 2028. And for now, he has picked up the ticket to represent Imo West Senatorial District in the 11th Assembly. And the 11th Assembly will be convocated by May 2027. As at that time, he's still going to be the governor of Imo State. So we're keeping an eye on what is going to happen in Imo. He's most likely going to resign as governor and go to the Senate, because there are words under the table that the leadership structure of the National Assembly could change. That means the Senate president could be zoned to the southeast. And because Fᴜဃᴜ is not a new senator, it's going to be a chaos and pandemonium everywhere. We're still monitoring the politics of this country, because as they would always say, one problem does not relegate everything. We'll have to look for solution to this problem and also still keep an eye on every other issue that we are dealing with. Once again, you're welcome. Well, we've been very blessed. For 3 straight editions of this program, Mr. Mɪᴅ-Wᴇᴇᴜ has been joining us. Last week, in fact, it was Mr. Mɪᴅ-Wᴇᴇᴜ and I alone that dragged the conversation. Said Far was unavoidably absent, but today he's here with us, physically present and ready to go. Well, it's no gainsaying the fact that the bulk of the conversation today would center on the security situation of the country. Somebody made a post yesterday and it led to a series of revelation across different states of this country. The person said the amount of weapons in circulation in Nigeria today could trigger civil war, and there were reactions and counter reactions to that claim. And a lot of people started asking questions. That, have you observed that as it is today, some regions that actually used to be hotbed a few years ago seems to be calm now? That is not because the government is controlling those places. It is because the people in that region are also still gathering momentum for them to also strike when another region is staying calm. Well, there are rumors flying everywhere, and I want to specially appeal to you, especially those that depend heavily on getting their information on social media. Try the best you can to rely on verifiable sources of information, to verify videos that you share, to verify stories that you spread, to verify content that you consume. There are a lot of AI generated videos everywhere. I understand the sensitivity of the situation. We want to be quick to spread information, to protect our people, to do this, to do that, but I want to beg you, it would be advisable that you stick to media houses, specifically radio stations, TV stations, to get accepted within the new media. There are a lot of things, citizen journalism, there's a lot of sensationalism going on in the social media space. Don't over consume information that you cannot verify, so that we don't kidnap somewhere in Accra. Oh, everybody is running there to withdraw their kids from school. Markets are closing, hospitals are closing, there's pandemonium everywhere, there's chaos everywhere. And be very sure of the information you are spreading. Be very sure of the authenticity of any information that you have in your possession. I just have to quickly put that in. So when we got on that conversation yesterday, it was a conversation in an open space. It was on X, a space on X yesterday, and then people started talking about how you should know that there will be trickle down effects from what is happening in Kogi, what is happening in Plateau, what is happening in Nasarawa, what is happening in Kaduna. We should expect, even in Abuja, we should expect that it will trickle down to the northwest, because the much of how they are sending the guy here, the states like Kwara, let me just be specific, would be the easiest place for them to escape to because of how porous the borders around those states are. So if you think, oh, the northeast is far from us, oh, the north central is that problem, listen, Kwara State is very close to us, and because of how close Kwara and Oyo State is, it is difficult. If you are setting up a military formation to restore peace and law and order in Kwara State, be rest assured that some of those. I was watching the interview of the Accord Party presidential candidate, Mr. Olawekpo, and he talked about how the Oyo State has been under focus for so many years. All things being equal, but don't forget, by 4 p.m. tomorrow in the Situation Room, we'll have the ADC Lagos State gubernatorial candidates, the 2023 Labour Party candidates in the state. Gbadebo is going to be live in his 27. Comrade Omoyele would be with Sage Babalola today by 4. So there was a solid conversation with the 2027 SDP presidential candidate, Prince Adewale Adebayo. He was with us from 4 o'clock to about 5:20, and it took us all the way down to how we got to where we are as a nation and how unpatriotic are some of the leaders that we have. So you've got to keep your dial locked on Melanite. Would advise, would appeal, And then we reach out to you to always join us on all our political shows, from Sunday on Political Roundtable 6 to 8 p.m. Our newspaper reviews every morning, and of course the midweek politics every Wednesday 1 to 3, and the Situation Room every Monday to Friday. The Yoruba version is on Friday from 4 to 5:30. So we have low. Mr. Mɪᴅ-Wᴇᴇᴜ, good to have you join us again on the show. It's a pleasure to. I think this is the first time we're having back to back.
For a long time now.
I know, but for to have someone very highly profiled, you know. By the way, Mr. Mɪᴅ-Wᴇᴜ is the rector of the Boo. So if you think some of us speak so well, you need to listen to the product of the Broadcast Art Institute. So check them out on all their social media platform and on their website. I'm sure you've been listening to the adverts of the Institute live on Mainland 98.3 FM. Mr. Mɪᴅ-Wᴇᴜ is going to be a month by 14th of June that the 46th, and it has led to a spiral movement of protest across the country. As at the last time I checked, 12 states have been involved, from Lagos to Oyo, from Akure to Abuja, from Cross River to Ekiti, Osun, and Ogun State. There's been a series of protests. The Situation Room. I spoke to the Borno State coordinator of the Generation Next movement. He joined me live from Maiduguri, and I asked him that the same time the abduction in focus on what is happening in the southwest, or your state specifically, and because I looked at some of the states that are protesting, the northeast states are not even, they don't care. It looks like, oh, people are just feeling what we have endured for the past 15 years. And I asked him that, Comrade Umar, how did that make you narrative? We're now bringing it to attention, and it feels like they feel abandoned. And that's a fact. Mr. Mɪᴅ-Wᴇᴜ, the principal responsibility of every government, according to the Nigerian 99 Constitution as amended, states that the principal responsibility of every government, state, federal, and local, is to see to the safety and the welfare of the people. There's a reason the drafters of the Constitution put safety first. And if a government fails in that responsibility, it could be an invitation to anarchy. There was a statement on security that we're dealing with in this country. The tiniest trigger could lead to the civil war. And the government neglected the principal responsibility of what they should do for politics over time.
Thank you, Okwe. One thing, let me start from into government. What are his ambitions? What did he say he was going to government to do? Most people we have in government, that is not their ambition, that is not their project. Their project is themselves. So don't be surprised they failed to protect you, because that was not what they come to government to do. If you look at the primaries, did they kill those others who are coming to serve you? No, they're coming to serve themselves. So it is for us, the voters, to actually judge when somebody says vote for me, or vote who do not align their interest to the interest of the common man on the street, economically and whatever. The next thing you're going to look at is when you say the Maiduguri person said what they have been enduring because it's Southwest, but because it is one kidnap too many. We thought that government was making an effort to contain the kidnap to that the northern geographical location. Okay, Maiduguri, it has become part of their lives. Anybody who goes out now in the morning probably feel that he may not come back. You know, that is at the far north. But that means government has completely lost control of the fight against insurgency. That's how you are seeing this protest. It's not just because it happened in Oyo. No, that's not too special. Just as you said, this one was kidnapped here. The same thing happened in Maiduguri, the same time. But there was no noise about it. But it was contained there. We say, okay, maybe they are doing something, because you have follow-up reports of 30 insurgents killed, 50 insurgents killed, 2 insurgents killed, the head of ISIS in West Africa killed, and the rest of them. For us, that was a good report of what government. So government is losing track of the thing. I think again, from what you have just said about the arms that are in circulation, there's this American Marine General called Smedley Botha, who said war is a rat. Arms were mentioning. The arms do not on their own enter plane and enter Nigeria. The arms suppliers, the what do you call it, the contractors that don't want it to end, because if it ends, their job has ended. So you see, government hands are full. You know, the direction is multi-dimensional, and from that supply they make money. How do you want it to end now? So if the president knows this, he will wake up and take charge by himself and decide that this, if the president said the war must end today, is ending today. Number one, he has to make sacrifice. Nigeria needs somebody who can make sacrifice. If this president is okay, as a legacy, ended about 20 years of insurgency in Nigeria, 20 years of bad banditry. Whether banditry or insurgency or kidnapping, they are all different phases of the same war. You know, so if we recognize that we are at war, and in war everything is right, only the war itself is wrong.
But how is persecuted?
It doesn't matter. So war. But if there's no war, all those classifications will not be there. So war is wrong, but everything about in war is right for whichever group you are. So let the president decide now. Say, okay, this war ends. Let me forget about second term. Then he will go headlong with those people who have been proclaimed, pronounced to be sponsors of this thing. You first of all deal with those, but they are contractors. What business are they going to give them? They're going to give the president a long road to work to stop them, because that is the conspirators. It should not end. When you see all kind of arms, if you ever see these bandits with their arms, how do they get them? Each of those rifles, AK-47 is about the cheapest of the arms they are carrying, though.
And AK-47, the black market is over almost 800,000 now.
So it's about the cheapest of the ones they are carrying, and not just empty gun, but with body supplying the arms, supplying the ammunitions, you know, hospitalizing those who are injured, you know, giving them food. So they have a very fine strategy, which is what they are using. That is saying, let the government fund the government, but you have to feed. You have to find money to pay your salaries, feed yourself. How do you get that? Let the government of Nigeria also fund you. So that is why when you talk about this protest here and there, for me, it's not think of a way out, because for me, I think the bandits have bluffed.
And I was struggling to take in some of the things you've said. The fact that you know, for selfish interests, there are individuals, you call them the conspirators, the contractors, the merchant of war, that are ready to sacrifice hundreds of thousands of lives just to continue to have monies pile up in their accounts. Because you know that those weapons you are selling to those people, especially from the proliferation along the Sahel region, from the fall of Gaddafi in Libya, that acts the withdrawal of the French troop along it later, Mr. Mɪᴅ-Wᴇᴇᴜ. Aside for that, good to have you join us on the show.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
Well, I'm sure you joined in while Mr. Mɪᴅ-Wᴇᴜ was laying the foundation of the conversation we're going to be having on the show today, a very deep, heartfelt one. I want the entire government had continued to use the same method to fight a rural-urban guerrilla warfare. He talked about the fact that those days they used to say, oh, certain local governments in the outskirts have been taken over, and he said, listen, there's no heavily migrated and people are living and running multi-millionaire business in those communities. Side forward, are we left behind in this fight against insurgents? And when I say left behind, I'm not talking about the world order. I'm talking about being left behind that the criminals we are trying to control. Mr. Mɪᴅ-Wᴇᴜ talked about the sophisticated control vehicles and the marching and overrun military formations with relative ease, without any level of distortion or anything. They literally walk into military formations, battalion, and they override everyone. There are reports that there was an attack on the immigration office in Ogbomosho earlier today, and weapons were carted away. Have we been left behind by the people we are supposed to be ahead of?
Definitely, obviously. Again, the situation on ground, the way they carry out these attacks may, be years ahead of us in the way they plan these things and how they execute it. There's fear out there, and we are sitting on a keg of gunpowder that could just explode. Different parts of Yoruba land now, if you look like a Fulani, you are in trouble. Before just coming into the studio now, I've seen several videos. I think I saw one from a place called Mɪᴅ-Wᴇᴇᴜ, where it is said that suspected Fulani, quote and unquote, the way they appear, have also been arrested. A pattern where the people just feel apprehensive and suspicious of anybody that looks like a Fulani person. Then it becomes a very dangerous pattern. And when I say dangerous pattern, I mean
really dangerous.
Really dangerous, because again, it's what we have now. And you want to look at the situation of the people and not want to completely blame them. They've seen what has happened to fellow Nigerians who were just doing their own thing, carted away as we speak. These persons have not returned to their families. People have been killed. A teacher was beheaded. I think 4 suspects
have been sentenced to death.
Have been sentenced to death by hanging. And from the reports, they were said to be members of the Al-Shabaab terror network.
From
down to Somalia
to Somalia.
To Somalia. Okay, I want us to pay attention. Now, if they have been sentenced because they have been found to be members of the Al-Shabaab network, now the question is, what they decided to come and do in Ondo, go into a church and massacre people en masse, what was their intention? What really did they want to achieve? If it was a case of abduction for ransom, we would say, well,
different thing.
Okay,
They need money.
They needed money, and so they decided to take people so that they can get money to finance their operations. So people who are said to be members into Ondo or War, an urban area, went into a church and mowed down people, massacred people. So the question is, to what end? What was the intention? What were they trying to achieve? Because I'm sorry, you cannot just tell me that they are just happy to kill people. And I think it will even be wrong to think this is just an attack on Christians. It will mean we are oversimplifying their intention. There must be something, because if you talk about Al-Shabaab, you are talking about far Mali down to Somalia and parts of the Sahara Desert. Then maybe it's parts of North Africa. So for them to be, these are not Boko Haram, this is not ISWAP, this is not the Lukarawa people in Kogi State. So they left Kogi State and decided to come into Ondo to attack a church, kill people en masse, and left. What was their intention? How I wish there's enough information for us to know, because is it about taking territories? Because if it's about taking territories, we saw what I was looking for. So wanting a caliphate meant that you wanted your own territory.
Government within a government.
Government within a government. So, but if you have people to dead by hanging, so if they were part of the Al-Shabaab network operating in Kogi State, why did they decide to come into Owo to massacre people? We have is that, look, it is now multidimensional. There are different groups. It's only when we have look at the people that did that of Oyo. They've said they were members of the Boko Haram, a splinter group of the Boko Haram, who had been operating in parts of the Northwest. I think when that of the Niger State happened, they said those were parts of the Lakurawa sect who had been operating in Sokoto. So somehow they migrated into Niger. So
there's no central command now.
It now appears that there's really no central command to how these things are being done. Does it mean that as a nation we have now been infiltrated on multiple fronts by multiple terror networks? Because if you look at it from different reports, it now appears that we have been infiltrated. The country has now been held down by names and their location. That got my attention, and that is why I also think that we should be careful to continue to throw money
at them.
Not even at them. At them, one. Also in this fight against insecurity. We are desperate, and so because of that, we keep pumping in money,
and they take advantage of us.
And apart from even the people collecting ransom, sir. I'm talking about even with the security architecture of Nigeria.
I mean, now we had that conversation, Mr. Matokoda, before we came on air. We'll get to that question.
Yes.
You know, because I've looked at it today on the show. We'd focus more on the politicization of this conflict and the commercialization of the people benefiting from this chaos. You know, the merchants, the people you mentioned. So continue with what you're saying, sir. Fuad.
Again, I know I will eventually get to those who have made attempts to politicize the situation, which is very unfortunate, because what it means is that anybody that tries to do that is playing politics with the lives of the people. So responsibility it is
to solve this problem.
To solve the problem. Anybody saying otherwise is just being foolish, because there's a precedence to what we have. I think anything has changed ever since.
Nothing.
So there's really no argument about that. Anything that anybody is putting up to want to begin to deflect on whose responsibility it is to protect the people is just completely foolish as far as I'm concerned. The reality is the reality. Because again, I saw Sage battling it out this morning with some of our callers. The governors, this, we've said it here, and I don't, even when Rotimi Akeredolu had pioneered the idea of Amotekun, he kept complaining about the need for a balance of power. Okoyemi. There's still the need for a balance of power, and the only reason why everybody seems to be talking about state police today is because we have seen that this centrally controlled policing system is not working.
Because it's never probed.
Because no,
you don't even know what it's used for.
Look, Okoyemi, it's as good as you just dashing people money. You are the chief security officer of the state. Because of that,
they do with the security vote.
Yes,
they buy pickup. He locks
and give it to police.
Wait now.
And patrol bike,
like what happened yesterday in Oyo.
Yes,
they use part of the money to recruit protesting. They use part of the
anti-government protesters.
Yes, you understand. That's what they do with it. But in serious matter, you talk about Amotekun now, just briefly. Government is afraid of.
You're back here.
Wait, if the government is afraid of that, let this regional security outfit like Amotekun, carry sophisticated weapons to, but under control, because they are controlled. They have uniform. They have Amotekun against these people in your bush.
No.
With what?
What Amotekun have is almost like a dengue.
Exactly. You know, so
100 meters distance.
It doesn't make sense. So if they are afraid that, okay, if individuals carry weapons, it will be difficult to control. Let those who are already controlled groups, because they are controlled, they can be reigning when they misbehave, unlike members of the public. So that will give them, you talk about balance of power. Yes. That would be a balance of power. Otherwise, even this one you are afraid.
We've established the fact that there are many variables that are beyond the control of government. We can't deny that fact. I remember when we had Shegumi join us on one of our shows, he made mention of the fact that the luxury that we are enjoying as a people, these people in the bushes are not enjoying it, so we should stop calling it. It's a case of Boko Haram at the start. It was a fight against westernization, crystal clear. Then it looks like we're winning the battle against Boko Haram, and then inside religious cleansing and a lot of those things started. Armed robbery started. So so it became like a tree that bore different branches, and then they were going to offer them peace deals. We're going to offer them rehabilitation. We're going to do Operation Safe Corridor. We're going to do so many things, and none of these things are not exactly giving us the results that we want. Mr. I was watching the documentary. I'm not sure if I shared with Side Forward on how armed groups are controlling the commercial centers in Haiti. So the places that are not controlled by armed groups are places that does not have anything to fight for. The seas, the major tourist centers where the monies are coming from are being controlled by different armed groups. The way we buy soda in traffic here, Mr. Matokoda, that is how they hawk guns on the street of Haiti. That is a collapsed state. If you look at where we are as a nation, the weapons, the attack, the proliferation of these small arms across the Sahel region, can we redeem the situation, Mr. Matokoda? The masters that told me that one of their sister NGO just leased a property for 15 years. The conflict will still continue. They are much, and even governors are complicit in all of this. The counterpart fundings that they have. Have we lost the plots?
We are just grouping. Try this one today, try this one tomorrow, try one day after, whether it will work. They're in the bush, they are self-inflicted. Nobody sent them to the bush. They knew what they were doing before they entered the bush. So it is in the process of trying to inflict heavy punishment on the state that took them to the bush. They choose to be there. There's nobody sent them there, And those of us on this side, I mean, in town, we can call them criminals. They let them call us anything they want to call us. The war did not start. But the first thing now, for us to fight this war well, is to actually agree with ourselves.
We don't want to tribalize them at some point.
That Nigeria is at war. Because look at this year alone. The serious incidents we have recorded from Maiduguri to Kwara to Niger to Ekiti to Borno, to all of them. So what is left? On its way to Lagos, if not in Lagos yet. And two, the way our security agencies are working, especially the intelligence ones, it's like, well, they are pretty secret in Lagos that when they start, they have enough troops on ground in Lagos. I'm talking of the soldiers now. When they start, it's going to be very bad. So when you see people very apprehensive trying to, when I'm talking about intelligence, when they were distributing them into all the forests in Nigeria,
did you not notice?
Did you not notice them? Did you not know them? I saw them on Lagos Ibadan Express. They will just stop somewhere. So we just drop and enter bush.
And then the truck would continue.
The truck will continue. So who supplied food to them? Who supplied ammunition to them? Who supplied water to the forest? They brought them back into the trailer and tell them to go back.
Continue going to
go back. Do you understand that? That was how they distributed them all over the place. On the ground that they are herdsmen, they are this, they are that. We lost it. They don't have how do you call it, barracks? They don't have offices. Where are they? They're all over Nigeria, all over the place. Now, they let me invite these soldiers of fortune, what they call the mercenaries. You get it now. They have the manpower, they have the equipment, they have everything to flush them out.
Mr. Matthew Okoduah. Aside from that, I'm going to look at the issue of migration movement and resettlement. That is one particular. Those words have been very, very dominant in this conversation. Migration from Oyo, maybe they are feeling the heat in the northeast. They are migrating down to the north central, from the north central to the northwest. Back to you on that. But Mr. Matthew Okoduah, is it time for Nigerians to start looking at the truth of the fact that if we continue, what's that, even the ones in Oyo State, that it seems the criminals are surrounded themselves with bombs. That's why they are saying that the government should not approach them with force, right? So they're using some of these people as human shield. So you're thinking, oh, if I go to attack this, there's a 2-year-old, there's a pregnant woman, there's a 5-year-old boy, there's a this, there's a that. And if you look at how states that have conquered, the listeners may not be very popular, but we're just looking at the options we could put on the table. Is it the time Nigerians start thinking, you know what? I would rather not pay the ransom. Go to hell. Oh, the government. You can go to whatever you're thinking with this collateral damage.
Accept the truth today. We wouldn't have allowed you to get to this point, to Oyo, before we do this thing you are trying to suggest. For me, as I said earlier, they have bluffed. The surgeons have bluffed. The money. They won't do it again. Because the purpose is money. But it will be very unfortunate for any person who is in their captivity then, when government makes this statement that give or take, this is war. War, anything can happen. We will defeat you, we will arrest you, and the incentive to continue to kidnap people. Because at that time, it may be very, very difficult, as it is in Russia. They collected about 200 students. They were talking rubbish. Russia attacked them.
Vladimir Putin went ballistic
went back
on them.
and I remember 30 students died. But no rebel in Russia today
Escaped.
They didn't never escape, but not them would call Russia to say, I've kidnapped your people. This kidnapping comes into it. Kudos to whichever government has done that they blocked all their financial areas where they collect money from external bodies and rest of no more money. As they are funding Nigerian army, they should also fund us. And they are succeeding. Look at the one in the Worokwara, they have released. They released them with Ashwebi.
Sew clothes for them.
They sew clothes for them and display them. Before they do that, we are so sure. So these people now in Oyo, they may think that they are the people, they are the people that have strategy. Nigerian army have strategy to deal with those people. Just as you said, that's what it means. That some will eventually go off. In an attempt to rescue these people, some will go off. But Nigeria would have made that statement that henceforth no more ransom for anybody. And when they discover there's no more ransom, they look for alternative ways to do.
But can I just deal with that reality, Mr. Matthew Kodwa?
You call it a reality. If it's reality, we can't handle. If it is a reality, it is reality. We deal with it. We're encouraging them by paying them ransom. I'm sure this one's now.
That's like a truckload of AK-47s.
I'm telling you, you know, if you can argue now that at this point, while they're in that bush, they too are like to have sentenced themselves to death. Now they themselves, they have also sentenced them at worst. They kill us. That's what they're doing. They want to do that. I mean, that's the. If I think I know the history of warfare and soldiers very well, I think our men may be doing something, but no, they cannot come and tell us. But my fear is that the pressure should not make government to abandon what they are doing and just pay ransom, and then so that the pressure will go.
Side forward, I would also like to take your thoughts on. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would call here and say, "Oh, God forbid, if it was a family member, would you say the government should go ballistic? Would you say do this and do that?" I remember during the build-up to this 2023 solution to these problems. As a student of conflict management and international law, I understand the fact that there's a stretch at which you can go with no kind of forward. Should Nigerians start putting it at the back of their mind that, God forbid, one of yours have been kidnapped and you should bring 50 million? That 5,000 you couldn't get, 50 million will come out.
No.
People will start selling their property, start borrowing. At the end of the day, they could even kill the person and then you will have paid ransom. And so even if the person comes out, you are left with trail of debt. People are over the years paying back debt, loans that they got because they abducted someone. Should not, if they kidnap people, trail them, and let's see who could go off side forward.
Okay, well, you know, in taking decisions like this, it's a difference, and you might want to ask yourself, which of the models do you want to take? The US, for example, will not be in a situation like this. What will come to that those terrorists will not go away?
They will not escape.
They will not escape.
Because at that moment, they picked arms against the state. They are not Americans.
So what I'm saying is that whatever they do, whether they negotiate, in fact, if they do a prisoner swap, if it takes them,
they will find you.
They'll find you.
They'll find you.
So when they say we'll find you and kill
and
you, they mean it. Are on that job. They are not.
It's an American affair, not an administration affair.
It's not an administration affair. And I know why I started with this. Look at what happened in 9/11. George W. Bush Jr. was the president at that time, and all to find and eliminate him. So it had to take the Obama administration. I think even the second term of Obama,
yes,
they kept on it. They kept working on it,
despite the change of
government.
Forget that one. It's an American.
So in between, on the campaign trail, they might have discussed, oh, under me, it would not have happened, it would have happened. But the security agencies were out of
that political
shenanigans, rather. Yes, I understand that sometimes you might want to look at the different models. I would not take a Russian model, for example, where, because again, you have to now ask yourself, of even killing his own people.
Sure.
Who have not been arrested or abducted by terrorists. So if they have a hostage situation, I'm sorry, I would not really take a Russian model, because it's not a state that has a good record
of human
rights and placing real good value on their people. So if it had worked for them, well, maybe I'll eliminate these people. Now again, we've had a lot of conversations with security experts, and you know, it was quite funny when the former chief of army staff Buratai came out and said, oh, why are they not able to track
$2 billion was released to you to
so when I saw, I'm like, I had to go and check the name again. Maybe it was a different Buratai. So are you sorry, for how many years ago were you in charge, and now you suddenly have a solution, and then you tell us that, oh, so I knew. So again, you ask yourself, what is the level of commitment? Why, if you have noticed, we've stayed away from blaming anybody.
Sure.
Because we can continue to blame ourselves. There's enough blame available to share. The only thing I started with is that, look, people should understand that, look, this idea to want to continue to look for who to blame and exonerate the president
will not take us anywhere.
It's not even helping the president.
For the resignation of the then president
on the desk of the president. And when he was campaigning, he had also said that, you know what, hold me responsible for these things. Don't pity me.
I asked for it.
Be pleased or highly powerful. You can use police in your state for political witch hunting, political shenanigans. When it comes to critical deployment of these resources and assets, the chain of command still goes back to the center.
Sure.
The best you see our governors do with our police is to have a trust fund, buy vehicles for them, buy Okada for them, maybe support their welfare,
Build them police stations.
but build them police stations
Exactly.
and all of that. When the governor of Kebbi State said that, you know what, we got the intel that the school will be attacked. We were told, and we made arrangement. And I'm sure that the arrangement would have been through the army, maybe a military base or a police or what have you. You know, the command to say, well, did the governor know?
No. 30 minutes after.
The governor said, I was shocked. We had already made the arrangement. There was already deployment. But somebody from somewhere gave a command.
To get the matter.
Yes, and he said that, look, we must know who was the person
gave
that
the
gave the
command?
order. Okoyemi, have we gotten an answer to that?
No.
President.
Sure.
Because all of the security structure we have, that's why it's called the commander-in-chief.
Yes.
It hangs on his table.
It goes back to his table. That's why he can summon service chiefs. That's
Summon
why
the NSA. Summon anybody.
there's no governor in Nigeria that can summon the service chiefs.
No way.
There's no governor that
That can
can
even summon
summon
the IG.
commissioner.
If you see any governor who is able to even do anything, any little thing with the army or the police, he would have
must have
first run
taken-
it with
Maybe-
Abuja.
with
Yes.
Abuja.
Nothing you can do.
There's nothing.
Let's be, because I look at the sentiments, it's so nauseating, understanding that, look, this is a matter. They were there. Maybe it was Magodo residents who could have been able to recall the governor. You saw Sanwo-Olu ran down there with his agbada. And what did you see an ASP telling the governor? Thank you as a governor, but for me to leave this place, you would have to talk to. And we remember that was when we now follow the case, we remember it was a Mala meeting. Was a long time to implement the judgment. So what they did to say, okay, no wala, we'll go upper power. So what they did was to get into the Al-Malami's office, the Attorney General's office, to say, we have a judgment. I remembered one of the lawyers of the family came here. They negotiated with the AGF. Nobody knows.
We don't know.
But then the AGF assured them, don't worry.
Go on.
This judgment, a Supreme Court judgment, we implement it. And so what did he do? I'm sure the AGF at that time must have spoken with the IG. You know what?
Will reach out to the
if the Lagos
commissioner,
the IG first.
Just give me police. They said a day, 2 days before they were already around, without the knowledge of the governor. And when they stormed Magodo, it was supposed to be holding down the entire Magodo for demolition. I can't take orders from you. This order. So I don't think there's any other thing to talk about again. And I'm sure the governor must have now pushed, maybe get to even Buhari to say, before they withdrew those people. It tells you that, look, the governors are actually paper tigers in reality when it comes to taking charge. And that's why we keep talking about
control of the security
of office as chief.
And then every month you still give the person the money. So what they do is, for those of them, remember that in Oyo State, this same Oyo State, remember that under the current Oba, the Olubadan, Salah money, you don't do anything with it. And he said, am I not entitled to 25% at least from the money? At least. Because what about the governor of Kwara? If on this Oyo situation, Seyi Makinde has to resign, Abdul Fattah Abdul Ahmed,
he should be tried and jailed.
He should not only resign, he should go to jail. His people should carry him and just put him in jail.
It's even funny.
Do you know what has happened in the middle of Nigeria? What about Katsina? What about Plateau? What about Borno? The home of the APC chairman. And so when an irresponsible somebody like Governor Ayo Fayose comes on air to make it a political matter,
the kind of people we call governors and former governors,
president. What of the governor of Kwara? What of the governor of Kebbi? What of Borno State, the hometown of the vice president? Concentrated more on the Oyo situation.
That's where we started the conversation from.
So okay, so Borno State too is to spoil the name of the president.
Side forward.
So sorry, let me just so that I don't forget my train of thought. So what we are saying is that, look, let the nonsense hypocrisy stop. Let's do away with the hypocrisy. Let the president, who has got, at least for now, who has got all the powers in the world, who has got all the mandate, he needs to look at it again. We are not saying he has not done anything, but the results of his efforts appears to show that, look,
not good enough.
It's not good enough, and more needs to be done. More needs to be done would only make sense if he accepts full responsibility. Him is. Because the more they make excuses for him, the more the situation gets worse.
Because the more the president relaxes.
And the more the president begins, the more they do it, the more it shows that, look, the president may not even be on top of the matter.
Yes.
We want a situation where, politics or not, we can have a secure, safe Nigeria for everybody. Like I've just discussed with you about the US. So, this is the issue of Okoyemi for me. Again, solution driven from what some experts are saying. Boko Haram in the northeast. Again, Okoyemi, let's ask ourselves, have we done a proper analysis of our borders? The entry and exit points in our borders. How porous are they? Whether we talked about the history of the fall of Gaddafi, how that has also not helped the situation. People don't really follow international news. If you look at how Niger is struggling, how Burkina Faso is struggling, how Mali is struggling,
yes,
by these insurgents. And these are guys who are running riot in different parts of West Africa. In fact, Benin Republic is even struggling in its northern borders. The insurgents for
into Mali,
they are coming all the way from Burkina Faso. Almost they are trying to even take part of Benin Republic.
And you know how close that is.
So that's why I keep saying that, look, what we have is military guys were taking over some of these countries in the western. They took over Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso. I said something. I said I have my fears about their ability and capacity to hold their own against these terrorists. Of course. People should go and understand the impact of France in stabilizing that region, that entire space. They are the ones who have the jet fighters. They have their military base there. They can provide intelligence. They are the ones that have been pushing back the likes of Al-Shabaab and all these other terrorists. But once they we might talk about neocolonialism, Pan-Africanism and all that, but in reality, these khaki boys will not be able to hold their own. I'm telling you, Mali is about to fall. It was just by the stroke of luck that they didn't take over the capital city. Burkina Faso is struggling. They are losing soldiers. Forget about all the propaganda.
Forget the media propaganda.
The media propaganda.
We know how it works.
You will see the leader speaking English. I say this one don't even hear English. The reality is that these guys are alone.
Literally stroll into the country.
Niger alone border 7 states in the north.
Not literally, you can stroll into any
Niger alone. So the question is, what is the level of coordination? Was it not in Chad that they killed the whole president?
Yes, at war.
At war.
What front?
On what front? To tell you how serious the situation is, Iris Deby.
Yes.
Before his son took over. Yes. How many states, for example, borders Cameroon? How many states border Chad? How many states border Niger? We need to ask ourselves, what is the situation in our borders? What can we do to protect our borders? That's number one. Number two, for those guys who are already in the country, who are doing these things, it's a plot for me. I think it's a plot. It's almost like when you have somebody scripting a movie. Okay, we're going movement and all of that. The way they go into these communities, in the Oyo situation,
look like the intelligence community is stronger than the ones we have,
which is unfortunate.
No, when they say they worked with locals in Oyo State to be able to maneuver the forest, I said that can you go and tell police? But for the locals refusing to tell police and do according to that, that means they have more confidence in them. So
if you look at it, Okoyemi, look at the plot. Let's just say this is the plot, more like a movie. So because again, if you look at what it is, you move at this time, you do this, they will have their sleeper cells, who are their informants on ground, come at this time. Okoyemi, they did this early in the morning as the students were resuming. Early in the morning, 9 a.m. That was when we got the report. It was early in the morning, so students were resuming, teachers were resuming, that early morning activity, they moved in. So now, from who is providing the logistics? Who and who? How are they? Because again, a lot of the reports have said they move on bikes. So where are these bikes?
Where did you get the fuel?
At every part of the plot, they deal with you.
They dissect it.
They dissect it. They check it. Their intelligence community. Look at the documentary of Bin Laden. Just see how an intelligence community can stay glued to something
for 10 years and
they
build the replica of Osama bin Laden's house.
That was the final stage.
That was the final stage.
That was even the final stage.
They built the same replica of the house.
So the question is, our intelligence community, what is pick people, take them into the forest, camp them, and then begin to demand for ransom? That's part one for me.
Are we paying to the bank account?
Are we paying? Is it cash? Who takes it? Who is the courier? Is there anything our intelligence community? Are we packing notes?
Because
do people go there to deliver it?
Sorry to hold your thoughts.
Yes.
Somebody even made a very funny joke recently that maybe the banks would have to start opening branches in the forest right now. But it still feel to move 50 million in 500
million, 200 million.
So the banks that are releasing these funds are questions not being asked. That what are these monies
let
for?
us even say the government is able to get the money through the CBN. Because
what about private individuals?
No, what we are saying is this. Look, if you need Okwemi, you'll be shocked. Let me tell you something. Are you aware? And the person that told me this is the business of cattle rearing.
Don't take transfer.
From the real people in the bush.
They don't take transfer.
You have to take cash there, no matter how big the money is.
Yes.
Okay. So if you are wondering where the cash is coming from, that till tomorrow, not today, and not the ones that are in town, where they really go in those villages and those communities in the north and whatever, where they go get the cows. The transactions are still done 100% cash based,
live cash.
Even if it's 100 million, it's cash.
This person says when they are going, they have to take cash. That what they do is that what they now do is that, okay, from Lagos they will first send the money into a bank account. So when they now get to middle of Nairobi, cash. So we still have a business, a sector. Let's call it a sector. That is still largely cash based. That's a problem on its own.
That does not like cash.
And this cash is linked to this criminality.
That second plot of the ransom, blah blah blah, and all that. What are we doing? In drama, we did a bit of drama in communication. They call something a loose plot. A loose plot are the loopholes. That in everything they do, there must be something. There must be something that they will not get right.
For you to feast on.
Look the trail that Bin Laden left.
Yes.
It was a courier.
Yes.
He was, for him to have evaded the intelligence community of the US for 10 years, not be my mind.
And then they know that at a certain time of the day,
somebody walks in that compound.
There's always a figure that moves around in that compound.
Look at what
they use that figure to match.
Look at what they did with the satellite. They saw that there's this man that paces around
in the compound.
Of course, like we want to go out.
Yes,
at least.
And what they've noticed that the way the house is built, and people don't go out.
They don't go out.
Always indoor.
They don't go out. They are homeschooled.
But their satellite imagery. They have to pick that look. Somebody paces around
every certain time of the day.
So what they did, to check, they already had the height of Bin Laden. So what they did was to measure his shadow, because the sun will give his shadow out at that time of the day. So with his shadow, they were able to get his exact height.
This is him.
And at the point they were going there, they were 100% sure.
100% sure.
That was the house. I'm just saying. So in collecting this ransom, are there loose plots? I've talked about the first plot of how they move. Maybe they are making phone call. Can we track their phone calls?
Leave all this one.
Because again, we've had stories of the fact that again with Starlinks, I'm sure that there are also loose plots to look at.
Because the people that own Starlink can actually track. I mean, there was a time, I think last week or so, that they said about 400 Starlink in the camp cell that they went to went to raid.
Who are the people receiving it? How do they move it? How does it go back into
circulation?
Okwemi, I am sure that our intelligence community would have enough loose plots within that to work with. And then finally, Okwemi, so when the terrorists, Okwemi, wherever they come, because it means that a lot of times we know their location. The only reason why we don't swoop on them,
we're hearing.
That's what we are hearing, that we can't just move on them. Once they take these people to a place, they use them as human shield. How do they themselves escape?
From that point.
You don't understand, Abi? We cannot go after them when they have captives because they use them as human shield. They will kill them.
Maybe they also negotiate that a free person
in Ghana must go. They are not coming to the point where the ransom is delivered in large numbers. You drop 50 bags, maybe 10 bags somewhere, money, plenty like that. You drop it, and somebody's coming to collect those 10 bags from there. Not with keke, not with bicycle. They come with a truck. So where are they? Where are the security people? That we drop it at somebody's coming to carry. Is it in horse? Is it on horses or camel? Or where? Or swallow it? Or those bags will fly on their own. There are so many things.
Okay, so if you follow what Mr. Godo just said, so you ask ourselves, so do they are negotiating with them? Do we have a perimeter on them?
Do we know the exact place?
No. Look, if you listen to what the principal said, they forcefully rescue you. That statement shows we know where they are.
Sure. And they know what we are doing.
So again, knowing what we are, forest, the what's it called? The forest, the bush. You know that this is still within
that place with clear visibility. There are still communities at the outskirts of
that
places.
area. It's not as if they're gone, because there's a way you can analyze the trees.
In the 21st century,
the plants around. You know there are some plants that you can only find in that
certain places.
You might not find them in the north. So they know that they eventually get the ransom, Abi, and then they release the captives. The question is, sir, how do they evaporate? How do these people evaporate?
Take them. Is it helicopter?
A perimeter on them to say, you know what? In this, when I say perimeter, in this area,
we perish.
If we don't go here, we perish.
Nobody
you pass here. Maybe you release, you collect the money. How you now want to move out?
That money.
With this money, we'll see. People. That's all.
To your tent to Israel.
So that is the question now. What is the level of synergy? Because that's what I'm saying, that if you try
that money will be
the money that might be wired or wired.
The thing that you yourself, how you want to go. You understand? So if they retrieve their people, it will. You can see that plot by plot, we should be asking these kinds of situation.
Too many.
That it itself. Now the last part of it, Okwemi, is what we are doing to check ourselves, and I'm talking about the security operatives. Now, can assure us that even within the security architecture of the country, these guys don't have agents.
Exactly.
I will never forget, Okpeyemi, because when people say, "Oh, what are the US people doing?" Soldier must not die, because they are taking. In fact, when the fact that they are here is risk, is a risk on its own. But people must understand that risk to them must be measured. It must be a risk that will not just make them kill people or lose soldiers anyhow. So Yemi said, "Oh, under Jonathan, the Chibok girls, intelligence to say, we know their location."
And somebody relayed it back to Boko Haram.
And they told the Jonathan government. It was Professor Bolaji Akinyemi that said it on TV. And they told the Jonathan government. Then we extract
the people,
the girls, and then we neutralize them. This is like a reconnaissance mission to confirm if they were still there. They were shocked, Dr. Emi, when they were picking images that these terrorists were already wearing masks.
Yes, because they already knew that.
Is this an Amotekun issue? So far, what I have said, from how we are dealing for political reasons, we are not saying it because we hate the president. We are saying it because is the only one that has got what it takes to say, you know what, I'm putting my foot down, this has to end. Because it now appears as if it's almost as if we are just joking around, we are just faffing around. It happened
twice a day, sir, morning and night,
to say, look, where are we? What is on this? And again, why not even plant people within our security architecture? We need to bring out some of us, because they think, oh, they don't just like look. You see, you if you think you are just there being a sycophant, you don't like the president because you are a sycophant. You are probably a political jobber, or you are just somebody who does not understand these things. It's everything that. Okay, let us even go back to Bin Laden. On the day when they were going to go into that house, you know they had a situation room.
Yes, they did.
Who were the people in the situation room?
The president.
Not sure.
Because he said that when the entire committee came to
and
him,
they explained what they were going to do, he was like, so if the team fails,
yes, he just called the commander and said, you know
go ahead. And look at what they said about, and this is about
precision
and taking responsibility
clearly.
as a leader.
Obama was there.
He said, look, he also has to keep his composure because
It shouldn't look frightening.
Or that something is going to happen, because he also knows that, look, these Bin Laden people too may also have people inside who will say, that going over
10 years
so
is a long
he had
mission.
political ambition
And his mission.
He needed to make a call, and because of the politics of that time, if that mission had failed, that would have been the end of Obama.
Go and ask Jimmy Carter and the Iran hostage effort.
When it failed, that was what caused Jimmy Carter
second time. That's all now.
So when you talk about taking responsibilities, you see the name Commander-in-Chief.
It's not.
We now want to welcome His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the commander. President arriving, and you have all the service chiefs, the IGP, everybody. It is because they know that look today, of power.
Do you know how big it is that once the president enters into a function, no matter who you are,
you can't enter again.
King, governor, service chief, minister, even the president.
Talk about not deflecting. It is because we also want this president to succeed. The more you begin to think that it's about politics or there's a political gain, the more we are going nowhere. I will say, you don't give solutions. The little we are not on common sense, based on our own exposure, based on the things we've read, based on the people we've interviewed. We've had to speak with security experts who have said, there must be something wrong somewhere. There must be something wrong. I just talked about it. This is a different kind of security challenge for us in Nigeria, and that was why we had to take it into the entire Sahel region. How even a Benin Republic that used to know a president lost his life on this same battle. Recently, the US also read a report that look, these guys have even left the Middle East. In fact, if you look at the Middle East now,
a little bit quiet because the environment is here.
Because the environment is easier for them to.
They can create a country. In this environment.
Was it not the global second in command that was killed in Nigeria last month? So when global number 2 of ISWAP.
So when the US intelligence is telling you is that, you know what, insurgency has gone down drastically. In fact, I think the other conflict you have now is at the Pakistani-Afghan border. Even here. And the politics of Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso is not helping. These khaki boys who have drove out the French troops are not able to hold their own. We know what we're saying.
Let me hold your thoughts. I will need to open the phone line. Mr. Mɪᴅ-Wᴇᴇᴜ, very quickly. Now that we've established the fact that according to the ECOWAS charter, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has refused to recognize the military junta in some of those countries that would have to go in and negotiate with to a conversation. Remember how Nigerian soldiers were held in, I think, Burkina Faso, where they landed, and is this where we'd have to bend the rules a little bit? Because the president is insisting he doesn't have anything to do with those guys because they pulled out of ECOWAS, and him is a Democrat. He's pushing democracy on the continent. Should they have regional coordinated military operation to make sure that peace is restored within the region?
It will be in the interest of Nigeria. Otherwise,
that's recognizing military.
Yes, of course. You don't need to say I recognize you, I don't recognize you.
I just want to say
you need to deal with, because
just keep your brother safe.
Principle of equality, equality of nations. Nigerians have accepted the leadership of their government, so be it.
If the Chadians choose that what they want.
Mali, cool. It is democratic for you to recognize the number of the kind of pressures he is under at this moment. He's not
the international community. CNN did a report on this Oyo State abduction.
He's not growing younger. And this pressure are not sweet for him. One thing I really not too excited about is there's this rule that says the law of intelligent action. The law of intelligent action is that you see a problem, if it doesn't solve it, it's stupid action.
Unintelligent.
Very, very much unintelligent. So what does it? If aligning with these soldiers solve this
peace
problem
to the region,
who are you?
The essence of governance is peace.
In the next 4 years, you're out of the place. But it will be in history that at first and accommodated those people, and the problem was solved. That is intelligence. But if you keep insisting, no, they are soldiers, no, let them go and do election, and your people are dying. And you that you have with the problem on ground, the next government will say, I inherited it from you. He couldn't solve the problem. He passed it down to me. Now, the moment with this, with us, with our government is, there's also a saying that says, what happened to you last time was not a tragedy, but your failure isolated areas are open to this people to attack. We'll protect our schools. What was the intelligent input into the Safe School program?
The Safe School program. Safe School program.
Is it school in Ikoyi? School in Victoria?
That's school.
Just as what I said earlier, this word that said this was studied these things.
It's a plot.
They plotted when I was sent out in school to go and do this, and I followed town planners. They know that this road that leads to right is it. Do you understand it now? Like this, and like that. So when you're having these small schools like this, you say, okay, this school is prone to XYZ. A village with about 1,000 people having a school of about those police people are just there to come and harass people in the morning, blah blah blah, not really protecting them because they cannot protect against this kind of insurgents. We should have fortified. We are talking about borders that time. We would have fortified everywhere where these schools are. You can't tell them not to go to school. That would be playing into the hands of Boko Haram. You get? But we refuse to learn from it. We are talking about the sophistication of the American system. This crisis, no matter how we go out of it, in one way or the other. But when we go out of it, what lesson are we taking to the next phase in our life? Are we going to now develop satellites to help us do the monitoring? We're talking satellite monitor Osama bin Laden's room, his house, blah 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 blah.
Because those ones learned for what happened after 9/11.
Nigeria doesn't have that kind of thing. No.
We don't.
And we're not planning. Those are the things I'm worried about. That it has happened, fine, it has happened. But what lesson are we learning to use for next time if it happens? It keeps happening from state to state, you know. So that is the fear we have right now. That people
stereotype we're trying to avoid by not calling, by not tribalizing it. We're not living the reality now. We are living the reality.
It's here now. Look, people who look like Fulani.
You attack them.
You are on your own. That's where we have an account is ransom. When we get to that level, it will no longer be good.
All right, well, the phone lines are on fire. I really hope American manhunt Osama bin Laden.
It's on Netflix.
So it's on Netflix. It's just, I think, 4 episodes from start to finish, complete, nothing to ask. So in case you want to enjoy, just go on Netflix and check for American Manhunt Osama bin Laden. Calls as you can pick and also read as much messages as we can. 0913-600-0410. We looked at the security situation in the country today. We look at it from the area of recruitment into the government itself. We look at our border system, the commercialization of it, the politicization of it, how porous our borders are, that has affected checkless migration movement and resettlement. And of course, on the side, I talked about the urban rural guerrilla warfare that we'll be dealing with. We looked at the issue of how do we own this conflict, and like an American, instead of go after them. We'll also look at how do we come around and look at those countries that we share borders with. Niger Republic, for instance, shares border with 7 different states in Nigeria. How do we reach out to the government of Niger, despite the fact that we probably don't support the system and there are migrations that are not checked because of our borders? We looked at all of these things on the show today. Well, if we think nothing can happen, where over 300 boys were abducted in Katsina that same weekend, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the late President Muhammadu Buhari, was in Katsina that same weekend, and 300 boys were abducted from a boys only school in Kankara community. So in case you think a region is safe because that's where the government comes from, you need to check yourself and turn it off completely.
Is he okay now?
Yes.
I greet you, You're
welcome.
And Mr. Okoduwa, and also Baba Farouk.
Said Fuad.
Good afternoon, sir.
Don't mind me, it's a Nigerian problem. My name is Dampi from Igondo. let me tell you something. It is not if the president is ready to solve this insecurity. Let me eat security, because these spies are people that will be giving the military or the armed forces intelligence. Have you been to Nigerian border in the northern side? It is open porously. If you go to ordinary Cotonou to solve insecurity, first place, close where they are coming from, which is the border. That is the place they are coming from. They did not magic themselves into the country. And if president also wants to solve it, they should give a stiffer punishment for these people. Stiffer punishment for them, rather than recruiting them back into our army. Army is supposed to be secret. It's supposed to be a secret court that nobody supposed to know their secrets, and you have exposed your secret to the close your borders and stiffen the punishment.
Thank you, Dampi.
We'll solve it.
Thank you, Dampi. Thank you. Please, I will be picking calls for just one minute, so that we can read your messages and also pick your calls in between having the conversation. Good day to you over there. In fact, the insecurity in the country is so alarming. When we were going to Korodu for Salah, my child of 7-year-old asking to me, I must tell you at our age to be mindful of the situation of the country. May God save the helpless. Good afternoon to everyone in the studio. In fact, this is one of the best episodes of this show in recent times. I humbly give kudos to you, Mr. Fuad and Mr. Okodo, about their submission of what happened from the ransom payment to the bandit and terrorists. In fact, referring to America and Russia in relation to Nigeria approach, thank you very much. Carried it from Ikoton 091-3600-0410. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You have enumerated in the studio that the government does not know how to go about it. Are you saying that? They know. They know. It's because they lack the willpower. They do not want to. When somebody is having headquarters is saying that they should grant amnesty to, they should approach some kinetic children that are raping women that are preaching their test against the state, and the principal defender of the nation is saying this. What do you make of that? And there's no action taken, and so even those that are deployed to guide that school that you spoke about, they were withdrawn.
Thank you.
Was there to do it, so they do not have the willpower.
Thank you very much, Mr. John Fomogba. John Benadoyi from Ijanikin is texting and he says, just like play. What started in the north is now in the failure that caused it in the first place. They should attack them after that. I'm happy you didn't discuss politics on the show today. But everything we have said today is also political. Bolaji from Ijoko says, Mɪᴅ-Wᴇᴇᴜ, before your call and shed blood for this country and Africa, I fought in Liberia, Sierra Leone, Somalia, etc. Having said this, if the government is not involved or in cooperation, must be overhauled by making politicians to run for only one term in office to keep them focused on just good governance, and make sure each political office holder is pro-publicly after their exit. They should invest heavily on surveillance.
Hello, good afternoon.
You're welcome. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yeah, my name is Mark.
You're welcome, Mr. Mark.
Yeah, so good afternoon, our time today. So I can't be able to respond to some of the issues that you raised because of time constraints.
You see, Mark, there's no time. When we open the phone lines, we open the phone lines.
Just 1 minute.
And this no, we didn't tell you that. Look, anytime we open. You don't have a time here.
Good afternoon, Three Musketeers. I'm Yusuf. Quite on point with everything you've done today. The Nigerian state is doing of some unpatriotic element of the armed forces and the society. Be quick, pani. 9/11 wouldn't have succeeded without some bad Americans. Kidnapping started in South because the South and the South and Obasanjo quelled it and discovered that women and the people around could have good governance. Okay, I thank you very much. Distinguished gentlemen in the studio, agree to fundamentally, Mr. Fuad, exactly what I said when I saw former Army Chief. Why didn't he use the same advice when he was there? Maybe he's just getting to know better after leaving the army. I also find it nonsensical that the Oyo State government has a hand in this abduction of the children and teachers, as stated by former governor of Ekiti State Fayose. The statement lacks human sympathy and very allegations. Meanwhile, can you confirm the latest abduction of Adelabu's family in Ibadan? That's James Ogbona. Texting.
Yes, it's already in the news.
Yes, already everywhere in the news. Texting from Oshodi. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
You're welcome.
This is Michael from Alimosho.
Mr. Michael, let's do this real quick.
Oga Fuad, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
I beg, I won't beg, Oga Fuad. Please, whenever you have, like, especially your Sunday program, you have 3 hours, I guess.
No, 3 hours. It's 2 hours.
Okay, 2 hours. Please, out of the 2 hours, pay us 1 hour. Let your guests manage 1 hour. Let us take 1 hour. Do you know that we are over 100 trying to call whenever you have a program?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Thank you. That's just what I want to say.
Okay. Thank you very much. Side for that is you to deal with on Sunday. They spared us a little today. Okay. 09136000410. Okoyemi, good afternoon to you, and Mr. Matthew Okudo and Mr. Fuad. My greetings to you guys. I'm still standing government. As we can see, the military assistance and support from America is not yielding any positive result. A big nation like America and Israel can accept the call of negotiating ceasefire with Iran. Let the government of Nigeria do the same. Try other ways and negotiate ceasefire with these multifaceted insecurity issues, and that may be just the first step. Other action will then follow. Reverend Tony Ishola from
Thank you very much. Thank you. You see, the masquerade that dance, you don't know when you take a wrong step. It is all look at that, you make a wrong step there. That is Buratai saying something now. As a former, these are your state children. If it is incarnated or no, they must make the song. One day say we need money. Also, you have to tell us that's why we have been. We are with dealing of your state governor. Besides, we are ready to pay the money to secure our children. That's what we are saying.
Prince Wise.
Yes, sir.
I remember you told me on this show that someone close to you was abducted, and then you contributed money, you paid the ransom, and the person was still killed.
So Prince Wise, we should keep contributing money. So after this one, another will happen, we'll contribute money again.
Okay. A region until this insecurity slows down. Where is that region? That's the question we should ask ourselves. I thank you very much for the contribution, Mrs. Kelani from, I hope I got that right. From Magboro. Okay, I totally agree with Side for us narrative. The blame game is a strategy for distraction and running away from the clear, defined constitutional responsibility by those in authority. And that is coming from Noah from Igondo. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
You're welcome.
Yes, it's Koboko. I agree to an Alhaji.
You're welcome.
Let's continue to do like this. We are going to protect ourselves. Anything that they will do to release those children. On Friday, that's why they can do today. So they are out to release those children. As the commander in chief, if it's not retrieving that release, what we do is Baba Dash and Baba Bash. Thank you very much, Koboko.
Thank you very much, Comrade Koboko. Then the analysis period. Thank you. For the very first time, I almost agree with Side Forward, but they should do something about. Okay. Thank you. Do you expect the government to demarcate their children? Is Tinubu a northerner? They asked the government to give them soft landing the way Yar'Adua gave them, and the south treatment. Can know who is texting us. Comrade Tosi Williams from Ogun State say, good afternoon, great people. The questions of these trying times in our nation would not be answered without speeches and resolutions, but rather through blood and iron. Okay, eliminate this insurgent troubling our nation to better our collective peace. Thank you very much. Let's quickly pick a call from WhatsApp. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. You have done well. Everything you have analyzed. This government knew this thing at all time, because there was a man then, Commodore or Olawumi. She will ask him, well, after he has analyzed everything, how they are attacking, how they open gates for them to come in, how they are doing this thing. She will ask him, say, the way you have exposed this thing, they are not going to go. How it is happening? It is only God that can reward you. And some people will still come and say, all this, no. Please continue to do good works.
Thank you very much for joining us on the show today. Let's quickly touch on Facebook. Jonathan Ijoko, Jack Eni. We move. Okay, John Bernardo, good afternoon to you, crew. And okay, I got some messages as well. Fumini Michael Uriade, you're welcome on board. Fasten my seatbelt and enjoying the show. Benjamin says good afternoon to the three present. For me, the protest going on is not the type of protest I expected. The protest I expected that's passing through. Why is he only interested in politics? That's Benjamin from Shogun. Wike is the FCT minister. So he has his defined jurisdiction.
Rules.
Ishola Davenport says, good afternoon, three wise men. Firstly, to solve insecurity in Nigeria, or local army be able to defeat them. I think it's only political will that can defeat these terrorists. That's my take. That is Ishola Davenport. Thank you. Samuel Ajayi, how can we, government has failed us as citizens in so many areas? Inadequate power supply, failure, lack of supply of water, pipeline, lack of good health, job opportunities, education, scholarship to the best. I already took the message on WhatsApp. My own analysis is this: if our politicians and security agencies list, okay, do our politicians, okay, I took that one as well. Tijani Afolabi, you're right with your statement. I was fortunate to be in the same hall with President Goodluck Jonathan some years ago at Planet One in Maryland, Lagos, with City People magazine. We're celebrating our 15th year anniversary. In fact, everywhere was militarized. The moment he enters, all the doors that led to the hall was closed permanently. And that is protocol. Even when the governor sits, that was what led to the issue with Sanwo-Olu and the speaker. What's his name now? Obasa, when pouring in the messages here. I don't know how I want to do it, but hey, we get the conversation going. 4 o'clock today, Omoyele will be in the situation room with Sage Babalola. That is another explosive Jaden. I don't know why somebody will call himself the good guy with the bad intentions, but hey, you've got to join them by 3 o'clock. And by 5:30, there will be in the mainland FM Global News by 6. I would also come back alongside my co-host Agbatomi to drive you through the world of sport. It's 8 days to the FIFA World Cup in USA, Mexico, and Canada. We started off with the breakdown of all the groups yesterday. And again, the girls will be here to drive through late into the night. So, my name is Okoyemi. A big shout out to Matthew Okoda for coming through side forward. As always, it's always deep conversation here. Apologies for the call. Stay safe and keep your dial locked on Mainland 98.3. And once again, we pray that everyone abducted in this country, any part of the country, will be returned safe and would have a forward-thinking approach to ending this insecurity. Have a good afternoon and bye for now.